Good evening and welcome back to yet another exciting BA session. Let's go ahead and initiate the review. Can somebody please unmute and talk about the various phases of a product life cycle? When you talk about the various phases of a product life cycle, please try to explain what happens in each of these phases.
Can I say something?
A complete and an accurate answer will fetch you 3 points. Okay. Please remember, I would like to hear a complete answer. If you're not giving a complete answer, then you will not get any points.
The first is requirement phase, second is design phase, third is development phase, and the fourth is testing phase. In requirement phase, condition or capability to be. Yes.
Sorry to cut you, but can somebody please list the various phases of a product life cycle and talk about the activities in each of those phases?
Hello, Anthony. The product life cycle is development and introduction, growth, maturity, and decline.
Okay. Somebody else, please. As discussed in the class.
Hi, this is Rashmika. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
There are 10 stages of product life cycle. First one is initiation. In the initiations where the sponsor identifies a need or proposed an opportunity. The second phase is system concept development, where we define the scope or the boundary. Third stage is system concept development. I mean planning. Third stage is planning, where project management plans the document and provides the basis for the acquiring the resources. And the fourth stage is requirement of analysis, where BA analyzes user needs and develops the user requirements or the artifact. And fifth stage is design, where architect transfers the detailed requirements into complete system design. And the sixth stage is development, where the design model is converted into the information system. And the seventh stage is integrations and test, where the testing occurs of the software system. And the eighth stage is the implementations, where the actual model is implied and tested for how it's working in the environment. The ninth stage is operation and maintenance, how the product actually is operated and maintained in the production environment, such as this is where the project is complete and product, like in class we give example about car. That car is completed, but we still have operation and maintenance cost. And the last stage is the disposition, where it describes the end of system activities and it emphasizes is given proper preparation data.
What are the general phases of an IT project, and what are the activities in each of those phases? Who are the key people, and what are the deliverables of each of those phases? Please understand the question carefully. I don't want to repeat the question again. I would like to hear a complete answer. what are the main phases of the general IT project? What are the key activities? What are the deliverables? And who are the main focus?
Four
So we'll fetch
phases:
you 2 points.
requirement phase, design phase, development phase, and testing phase. In development phase, requirement is like condition or capability to which a system must conform to. What happens in this frame is like business requirements are gathered in this phase. Main focus on business users, project team, project manager, business analyst. Deliverables requirement should be added for who is going to use this system, who will be used, how will be system be used, how does data input and output in this system, overall result in this system will be like formed. Design phase. The software design is produced from the result of requirement phase. Main focus are architects. The deliverables will be architect, logical architect, physical architect, software design, UML diagrams. In development phase, code is produced from deliverable end of the design phase, and deliverable will be code and application long phase of SDLC and may overlap with design and testing phase. In testing phase, the implementation of testing against the requirement to make sure the product is actually solving the need and address gathering during the requirement phase. Main focus, quality and insurance analyst. Deliverable, test plans, test cases, test results, performance reports.
What are triple constraints? What do we need to know about triple constraints? And please illustrate that with an example that has not been used in the class by me.
Triple constraints are scope, resources, and time. Scope is defined boundaries, like that's the opportunity you have, that's the time frame you have, and resources are what kind of material do you have to complete the project, and time is the time duration between which and which you have to finish the project. So combination of that helps in completing the right and successful within the triple constraint. The challenge of project to make it work within successful time and frame.
But can somebody please give me an example to illustrate triple constraints?
The example will be, if I'm organizing a birthday party, I would have 5 days to get ready, and my resources I would have certain people helping me with 5 people helping me, and my boundaries will be I would only spend $500, and I have to balance that to manage a good birthday party.
Okay. I have 2 more questions to go before we finish the review for the evening. My next question is, how would you establish a relationship between a portfolio, program, and a project? What are the relationships, and how do we plan and execute these things? A complete and accurate answer will fetch you 2 points.
This is Rashmika again. As far as I understand, project, there are so project makes so many projects makes the folder, and the folder makes the portfolio of the product. So if you're reevaluating a business where we need to diminish some products or upgrade our software.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can somebody else please pick it up? Projects list.
The portfolio is basically like a collection of files or like a group of folders together, while a project is something you come up with at the end of the day. There's a conclusion. So there's a difference between a portfolio. Portfolio has more material, like different cases. Project is a series.
Sorry to cut you, but can somebody else try and attempt to answer this question? What is the relationship between projects, programs, and portfolios? And how is planning and execution done in them?
Multiple projects are part of a program, and program management, and then which PMO office manages, and then multiple programs within an organization form a portfolio. And with portfolio, the planning and execution flows from the top to bottom, and then the execution from the project level.
Very good. Multiple projects will lead to a program, and different programs will lead to a portfolio. When planning is done, it is done at portfolio level to program to projects, but execution is done from projects to programs to a portfolio. My last question, and this is an interview question and also a situational question. You as a business analyst are capturing requirements, gathering your requirements from your stakeholders. And then there is a conflict pertaining to requirements. There is a conflict pertaining to requirements. Both of them are contradicting one another. There are two users giving you these requirements and they're contradicting each other. How would you resolve this conflict? Please understand the question first. Listen to the question carefully. How would you resolve this conflict pertaining to requirements? I would like for you to use or specify a technique that you would use. Okay? So give me the technique that you would use to resolve this concept or this conflict.
Well, I will do a chat session to talking with both parties, both users sit together, and me as a facilitator sit together. We're talking these two requirements, and to say what can we get compromise.
See, I'm not asking about if you would sit and talk with them or compromise or deal with them, discuss, brainstorm, chat. No, that is not what I'm asking for. What is a technique that you would use or utilize based on something that we already learned in the class to resolve a conflict pertaining to contradicting requirements from multiple users?
Is it triple constraint?
Are you asking a question or are you answering a question?
I'm asking, I'm not sure. Sorry about that.
Can somebody else answer? How would you resolve a conflict pertaining to contradicting requirements as part of your requirements gathering activity?
I think it is earned value management.
Oh, I need my.
So what would you do with earned value management? Please explain it.
It's actually establishing a logical sequence of the tasks, and based on the particular the product, like is it feasible, or is it a value earned in the market to put this product at this particular time, or with a particular resource, or with the time management. We can find out if it is, right time for the product to launch in the market with the formula.
Let me cut you here. Sorry to interrupt you. The question is, how will you resolve a conflict pertaining to requirements if they are contradicting one another? Let's say you're capturing requirements pertaining to an application. However, two business users gave you two different requirement statements which are contradicting each other. How will you resolve it? Which technique will you employ to resolve that? Anyone? I'm not interested in, I know we will talk, we will do sessions, meetings, discuss. I know that. What will you talk in those meetings, in those sessions? How will you resolve it? A complete and an accurate answer will fetch you 5 points. I'm raising the stakes for this question. I'll give you 5 points. Actually, I'll just go ahead and give you 10 points. How about that? Anyone else?
Putting them in parking lot list.
Anybody else?
UML diagrams.
I want you to please listen to my statements carefully. I said it is based on something that we already discussed in the class. Did we discuss UML diagrams?
No, not yet.
Okay. The question is, how would you resolve a conflict pertaining to contradicting requirements as part of your requirements gathering activity? Let's say you're gathering requirements from your business users, and then there are two different business users giving you two different statements which are contradicting each other. How will you resolve that conflict? What is the technique that you will employ to resolve that conflict? If you can give the correct answer, I'll give you 10 points.
By conducting surveys.
Maybe using Microsoft Project and using Microsoft Project to create a plan, project plan.
Can I speak my answer?
Go ahead, Icharya, try it.
Based on the type of project it is.
Icharya, can you please come closer to the microphone and speak a little louder?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, please go ahead because I don't know yet. It's better.
Okay. Yeah, based on the type of project that it is, that is a functional project or project functional organization or certified organization. I will present the complete requirements to the manager that has the highest authority to decide what requirements can be used on the project. So if it's a functional organization, I will report to the functional manager, and they report to the functional manager of the two completing requirements, and the functional manager will have to decide which requirements will be used on the project. Now, if it's a certified organization, I'll have to talk to the project manager, and that report to me about the conflict, and the project manager will then decide what requirement is going to be used on the project. And now, if it's a massive, that's where I have to maybe call a meeting between the two managers, the functional manager and the project manager, and as a team, we can decide what the requirement is used for the project.
I'd like to just give one more last opportunity to just one other person. If you would like to go ahead and try, just one more chance. Anybody else? Still haven't received the answer. I don't want people who already tried to answer it again. Let's give a chance to somebody else who did not try. Go ahead, Gene.
I would use an archive to determine whether it's a requirement or a need, and based on that, decide whether there's a conflict there. One may need it, the other may say it's a nice to. I don't remember the exact term that you used. I do remember the conversation, but you essentially, there's an archive that you use, and you determine whether it's an actual requirement or not.
That brings us to the conclusion of our review for the evening. Okay, Neha, I want to give you one last opportunity. Neha, I want to give you one opportunity, last opportunity. Do you want to speak?
Yeah. So you could use techniques like root cause analysis, decision tree analysis, or scope verification, and goal orientation.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate based on your response in the chat window?
Not really.
Okay. So anyway, I'll give you the points because you got it right. Whenever there are two contradicting requirements, the first thing that you as a business analyst should do is evaluate to see if it is causing scope creep, or if any of those statements are causing scope creep, or if any of those statements are part of scope. So you have to perform scope verification. Then you can conduct your resolution from there onwards. Talking, discussing, all of that are part of it. But the key here is scope verification. Evaluating to see if any of those statements is causing scope creep. If it is not part of the scope, that's it. It's a clear-cut resolution. Good job, Neha. You'll get 10 points for this answer. All right, that brings us to the conclusion of our review. Some quick announcements or housekeeping items. Number one, your assignments were due. Project plan was due today, and these are the completion statuses. We have completion from everyone. I'd like to just quickly go over some of your assignments. Okay, not maybe all, but some. Let's open here.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
I went back and completed assignment 1 and submitted it.
Okay, all right. I'll check that and update the status. So here is one of the project plans. I don't see resource names listed here. Discuss the plan for the outline. Is it text after this? Or is it just a word, or is there any other sentence after those words? Okay, so if there is text, then make sure it is also displayed. Okay, and the task name. Don't just keep it incomplete. All right, let's go to one other assignment here. Birthday planning. So you have task ID, task name, duration, start, finish, predecessors, and I do not see resource column. Okay, and also both in this one and in this one, I did not see the percentage column. I also mentioned that you should be able to add percentage column in the class. Right, we discussed that also. So this is another example. Completion, percentage, task name, duration, start, finish, predecessor, resource names. Okay. Here is another project plan. So predecessors are missing from this column here. So make sure that all of these columns are filled appropriately. Okay. If you think you have to go back and update your assignments, please go ahead and do that. I did not open everybody else's assignment, but now you know what I'm looking for, and now you know how to complete your assignment. So based on this, please go ahead and fill it again. Are there any questions at this time that I can answer for you pertaining your assignments?
Yes. What is a predecessor?
When is it due? When is it due? When do we have to resubmit it?
Before next class day.
Okay.
Our predecessors are tasks that have to be completed prior to the completion or initiation of a specific task. Okay, we did discuss predecessors in detail in our class. There are various types of relationships between tasks. There are 4 types of relationships, and you can specify those relationships. So that would define your predecessors. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. If you don't have any other questions, I'd like to quickly go ahead and identify a new member here, Payal. Payal, would you like to introduce yourselves by mentioning your name, your education, and your work experience and your current location, so that we'll know who you are and what your background is?
Sure. Hi, I'm Payal. First of all, I'm really excited to be here. The dean and I've heard some really great reviews about you. I have a background in psychology. So I did master's in psychology from Fairleigh Dickinson University, which is a university based in New Jersey. Currently, I'm a full-time PhD student in school psychology in New York City. So I am located in Queens.
I'm sorry, you're located. I didn't catch the last one.
I am located in New York City, Queens.
Okay, Queens. Thank you. Welcome, Payal. Thank you very much for your interest in this program. So did you complete your enrollment?
Yes, I did.
So you must be having access to the blog, and also you must be having access to the materials, right? If not, please work with the training coordinators and they'll be able to assist you with that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments before we go ahead and initiate our session?
Yes, the percentages, like how do we get to, you said for the assignment we have to do the percentages. Can you, like, how do we do that?
Okay, so it was also discussed in the class, Livia.
Well, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, just for now, I'll repeat it because I don't want to waste everybody else's time. So here is how you do it, okay? As you're watching on the screen, let's say this was not there, okay? I'll cut this. Okay, let's say it was not there. So right click, insert column, and then select a field name that you would like to select. For example, percentage complete or percentage work complete. So I'm just saying percentage complete. Click on OK. Okay, that's how you do it, and then you can add your numbers. Clear?
Yes, thank you.
I have a question.
Teacher, go ahead.
Yes. Like I am so new in business analyst.
Teacher, I'm sorry, but can you please come closer to the microphone? Also, one other announcement I meant to, mention this. There are some, some of you, when you're speaking, the voice is not clear. Either it sounds too distant, or there is a lot of background noise. And I'm getting continuous messages from other students that there is a lot of static or a lot of echo or disturbance. So please, if you can fix those voice issues, it will help everybody. Okay? Yeah, go ahead, Cherry.
Okay. Can you please explain to me when you say create use cases? What exactly are we doing?
I didn't understand your question. You may have to come closer to the microphone and speak a little loud. Sorry.
One of the during the retirement phase, we have gathering requirements, create requirement aspect, and then create use cases.
Okay, use cases. Yes, we will be discussing use cases. Yes, we will be doing use cases. That is part of our program. We will be discussing about use cases next week. Okay, so that's a very important concept.
We haven't talked about it.
We haven't talked about it yet. You're just trying to be ahead of the class, but we will discuss that
to understand.
Next week. Okay, it's a very important concept, and we'll discuss that next week. All right, Pradeep, go ahead. Please ask your question, sir.
Well, I tried when I was starting the PDF from project. I tried printing that one of the resources also on there, but it wasn't showing for some reason. But it was showing in the Gantt charts. I wasn't sure how exactly.
So you may have to adjust this window here. Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much did, but I wasn't sure. Why it was not showing up. But that's okay.
Did you have this view when you moved it?
Yeah. I did have the view when I was trying to print that one out onto PDF. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Here's a print preview. Okay. Because when you go back to my assignment, in the Gantt chart it shows the resource names for there.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so as long as you got it there, not a problem. So it probably could be something to do with the page settings or adjusting of the margins. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, if you don't have any other questions, I'll ask one last question. And I want to give an opportunity to people who did not attempt an answer in today's session. Okay. Some of you did not even answer anything. So I want those people to actually utilize this opportunity and try to answer my question. Why are you a business analyst?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to be a business analyst because of 4 reasons. One, I have an analytical mind. Second is I have good communication skills, written as well as verbal. Third is I have the knowledge of SPLC methodologies. Fourth is I have domain knowledge.
Very good. In our last class, we talked about the various phases of a general IT project, and then we also talked about the product lifecycle. We established a relationship between a product lifecycle and a project, or I'm sorry, a software development lifecycle. Okay, we haven't talked about a project lifecycle yet, but we clearly understood that product lifecycle is different than software development lifecycle. A software development lifecycle is a subset of a product lifecycle. Anyway, now that we know the various phases of a project and we also know what happens in each of these phases, let's go ahead and quickly understand what happens before a project begins or how a project would begin. Okay, when a project begins or whenever there's an idea, a business owner will hire a PM, and then eventually a PM will help the management or the functional managers to hire senior resources like senior business analyst or a technical person or a lead technical person, somebody who will assist them with feasibility analysis, who will assist them with creation of a project plan, who will also eventually assist them with hiring of other needed resources. And then a business owner will provide a PRD or a BRD, which is a high-level business requirements document. PRD stands for Product Requirements Document. BRD stands for Business Requirements Document. We do have templates in our portal, so please access these templates and go through them. Business owners may also provide some other type of document like vision document, scope document, or any of these high-level documents like business case or business context. The point here is they will provide you with these documents because they would like to give you some high-level information about what they are trying to envision, what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, but that is what the book says. Unfortunately, reality is different than that. So, according to the textbook, a business owner will have to provide you with these high-level documents. But in practical scenarios, it is the project manager or it could be the lead business analyst who would end up creating these artifacts. I, as a lead business analyst, several times, not just once or twice, but in several projects of mine, had to create these BRD, PRD, vision and scope document. Then the question is, you may ask me, hey, how did you know what the vision was? How did you know what they wanted as part of the scope? Well, I had to engage in conversations with them. I had to have discovery sessions wherein I'm actually sitting with the business users and saying, hey, what do you need? What is your idea? Why are you trying to do this? For example, let's say, going back to the same example of a bank, let's say there is Bank of America. Okay. There is no online version of bank. Now I would be sitting with the management and then asking them, why do you want an online version of your bank? What is the need? Are you trying to increase your customer base? Are you trying to be efficient? Are you trying to provide more services? Are you trying to reduce your operational costs? Are you trying to fire some people away? Are you trying to reach a larger market segment? And then what features would you like to offer as part of this application? So, in reality, a senior business analyst may end up doing these type of work, or a product manager or a product analyst may even do these type of documents. These documents, which will contain high-level business requirements, would serve as inputs into subsequent phases of the project. Okay, and then a project manager will also create a project charter. So what is this project charter about? We do have a template in our portal again. Project charter is nothing but, again, high-level document put into the project, various phases, various high-level milestones, various high-level deliverables. Okay, the timelines put into that. And then, if you are trying to obtain your PMP certification, there is an important question in there. When will a project manager be given formal authority on a project? When the name of the project manager is mentioned in the project charter and when the project charter is signed off by the business owners or sponsors. That is when a project manager will have formal authority on the project. Okay, After that, they will have a project kickoff meeting. What is a project kickoff meeting? It is nothing but a meeting announcing to the whole world, hey, look, we are doing this project and this is what our project will accomplish. These are the resources, this is the timeline, this is the funding. So it's just announcing to the whole world or to your organization, pretty much, about your project. Okay, that is the formula. That is the formal start of a project. So an interview question can be, have you ever been part of any kickoff meeting? Or do you think you as a business analyst will be part of a kickoff meeting? Most often times, you may not necessarily be part of a kickoff meeting unless you are hired as a senior business analyst or lead business analyst. Or if you are working in an organization at a client location and you finished up your project, and then if they want to put you on another project, then probably they will, because you're already there, they may even have you attend these project kickoff meetings. But otherwise, in general, business analysts, I'm talking about mid-level business analysts, junior business analysts, do not attend project kickoff meetings. It's only at managerial levels, senior resource levels. Okay? And then once kickoff meeting is done, then the project will enter into requirements gathering phase, which is when a business analyst will be hired just before the initiation of requirements gathering phase. So what is it that you as a business analyst would do after you are onboarded into an organization? Can somebody please unmute and give me a quick response here? Go ahead, Pradeep.
Go through the organization chart and people you report to, and who are you going to be working with on the project.
Okay, what else would you do as a business analyst? Yes, Sri. What else would you do as a business analyst after you're onboarded?
First of all, I'll get hold of the organizational chart.
Can you please come closer to the microphone?
Yeah, first of all, I'll get hold of the organizational chart of that company or the organization.
Okay, and then?
And then try to locate what the product or the project is which I need to work on, and I will locate my immediate supervisor.
Gene, go ahead.
After the project kickoff meeting and you're brought on as a business analyst, you've gone through your organizational chart. Obviously, you're going to talk to whoever your direct report is or whoever you're directly reporting to in the project. But the next step is to begin to gather the requirements.
Anybody else? One last thought.
I would say
let's give an opportunity to others who did not speak. Anybody else? Okay. So there are various things that you as a business analyst would be engaged in as part of being a BA for a particular project or in a particular organization after you're onboarded. So what is it that you would be doing? Number one, organizational chart. Yes, you would certainly try to get a hold of an organizational chart. But after that, there are various other things that one needs to be performing. One meaning business analyst here. So what would you as a business analyst do? Number one, you have to understand the scope of the project. You have to understand what your project is about. And how would you do that? By reading up the BRDs, vision documents, scope documents, PRDs, or whatever any existing artifacts the organization would already have for your project. Also, you need to understand the as-is business process. See, every organization, and within every organization, every department will have a certain style of functioning. They will have a certain process. For example, in my current client location, different departments have different methodologies. We use RUP methodology, somebody else uses waterfall methodology, somebody else uses some other methodology. It's all one company. Different teams have different methodologies. So to understand the as-is process, there are various things that I should be doing. Number one, reading the existing artifacts of different projects. Every organization, I can guarantee you this, almost 100% of the times, for each one of you, you will be joining an organization where they already have some projects going on and where they already would have a lot of documents. You have to get a hold of those documents and you have to understand what those projects are about, understand the methodologies that they employed to complete those projects. And also, if there is a system that is already existing and if your project is to enhance an existing application, then you need to get access to that system either in dev environment or test environment so that you can play with it, you can experiment it, you can understand what the key features and key functionalities are so that you can create some as-is process models. Then you can gather requirements and then you can come up with the to-be scenarios. So now you understand what as-is condition is, but then you will also understand what the to-be capabilities are. So the gap between as-is and to-be is gap analysis. So as-is today you are a BA student. To-be condition is you want to be a BA professional. So what is the gap? BA knowledge, BA skill set, BA hands-on experience, hands-on work pertaining to these artifacts. Therefore, you as a business analyst, after understanding your organization chart, have to understand the scope of the project, number one. And then you have to understand the as-is business process of that organization. So for that purpose, you may have to interact with some of the other senior resources, some of the other technical resources, some of the subject matter experts. Okay, so that is what you as a business analyst would be doing. All right, Gene, what is your question? Please go ahead.
When you say understand as is business by, is that the equivalent of saying understanding the business as it exists today? In other words, how they're doing business today, or I understand you're saying as is, but
when I say business, I'm not necessarily referring to the business organization. I'm not. Let's say Apple, for example. Let's talk about Apple. Okay, you're hired as a business analyst with Apple in Cupertino, but I'm not saying how they develop their products or how they sell their products. But what I'm asking is, understanding the as-is context here is how are they implementing their projects, the methodologies that they use, the documents that they create, the deliverables that they come up with, the timelines that they employ, or the tools that they use. Okay, and then the second part to that is, and if your project is to enhance an existing application, then you need to get access to the existing application in dev environment or in sandbox or in test so that you can experiment and understand the features of that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the various types of requirements. See, this is a very, 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 very important concept. If you want to be a BA, according to me, this is the minimum knowledge that one should possess. If you don't understand the various types of requirements, if you're not able to distinguish between these types of requirements, I would say now is a good time to think about moving away from BA career, because this is a very important concept, very fundamental concept, and I want everybody to please pay attention to this. Okay, don't be distracted, but please do pay your full attention to this. So what is a requirement? A requirement is a condition or a capability that a system must conform to. Anyway, there are two broad categories of requirements. All requirements can be categorized into two groups. Number one, high-level requirements. Number two, low-level requirements. What are high-level requirements? They describe top-level goals, overall systemic features, and are more abstract in nature. Then what about low-level requirements? They describe individual components. They are detailed rather than overview. They are rudimentary functions rather than complex overall ones, and are typically concerned with individual components within the system and how they operate. For example, my requirement is to have a car. Okay. So when I say that statement, it's a very high level statement. It's an abstract level. But if I say I would like to have a car that can get me from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds with leather interiors, which is a sports model, and if I give all these other specifications, then those other specifications could be your low-level requirements or your detailed requirements. I would like to have an email application. That's a high-level requirement statement. But if I am specifying how many people I can send an email to, how many people can receive my email, how fast the email can be sent, how many emails can be sent at a time, how long can the email be, how long can the attachment be, what type of attachments can I send, how can I sort these emails, how many emails can I view in one snapshot. Those would be my low-level requirements. What is the weather like? Okay, so people will ask you, it's a beautiful day. Or what's the weather like? It's a high-level statement. It's an abstract statement. But let's say if somebody went on to describe, oh, the oxygen content is so and so percent. The carbon dioxide content is so and so percent. The ratio between oxygen, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen is so much. Or this is the amount of gas molecules. Or this is the toxic content. So if somebody gives you all those details to describe that same weather, those would be your low-level requirements. Therefore, requirements can be classified into two categories, high-level and low-level. But there are various types of requirements. What are those various types of requirements? Functional requirements, non-functional requirements, GUI requirements, and data requirements. What are functional requirements? Functional requirements are associated with specific functions, tasks, or behaviors that a system must support. It is not optional. It is mandatory. The function of a car is to take a person from point A to point B. The function of inbox functionality is to receive emails. The function of login is to validate the user credentials and log the user into the system. The function of WebEx is to facilitate an online web conference. The function of checkout module is to check the customer out in the shopping cart, from the shopping cart. The function of a calculator is to calculate. The function of a printer is to print. The function of a fax machine is to fax. The function of a copier is to copy. The function of a trader is to teach. The function of a phone is to place calls and receive calls. Functional requirements will talk about the specific function or a task or a behavior that a system must support. They also address a characteristic of the functionality. They could be calculations. They could be technical details, data manipulation. For example, BMI calculator is a functionality. What is BMI calculator? Anyone knows what BMI calculator is?
Body mass index calculator.
So for example, let's say I'll put my BMI information. Okay. So I entered my height and my weight. But when I click on compute BMI, there's a different number, 21.7. The function of BMI calculator is to calculate BMI. This is a calculation. Sometimes when you enter a zip code, it will populate the name of the city. Or when you enter the 3-digit or 3-letter code for the airport, it will populate the entire airport name. Therefore, functional requirements can also be calculations or technical details or data manipulation, which will define what a system is supposed to accomplish. Not how, but what. Invoicing is a functionality. Money transfer is a functionality. Bill pay is a functionality. Check balance is a functionality. Making a payment is a functionality. Issuing a quote is a functionality. Uploading a document into a document management system is a functionality. Uploading a video into a video server is a functionality. Chatting is a functionality. Writing on a wall on somebody's Facebook account is a functionality. Sending a text message is a functionality. Every component, every gadget, every module will have a specific function. Our job as a business analyst is to identify those functional requirements. Okay, moving on. Non-functional requirements. What are non-functional requirements? These are adverbially related to functional requirements, which will define how fast, how efficiently, and how safely a particular task has to be carried out. The function of a car is to transport me from point A to point B. But how fast should be able to take me there? What is the maximum speed? How many miles per gallon? How many people can go in? How long can the car run continuously without stopping? How many times can I log into my inbox? How many emails can I send in a day? How many money transfers can I accomplish? Who can access my inbox? How secure should it be? Can I access my email from any computer, from any operating system, from any browser, from any part of the world, or from any device? Therefore, non-functional requirements are supplementary requirements. Some of the examples of non-functional requirements are usability. Security, scalability, availability, accessibility, reliability, interoperability, extensibility, maintainability, portability, supportability, quality, stability. So what is usability? Usability is it easy to use? Is it accessible? Security, is it secure? Is my bank account secure? Should I have some special values or special information to access my account, or can anybody who knows my name like Naveen can access my bank account? Are the applications scalable? For example, when was Facebook invented and by who? In which year was Facebook invented? Any guesses?
2004.
2004 by Mark Zuckerberg. Do you know the original purpose of Facebook?
Yeah, it was university.
Harvard.
It was meant for the students of Harvard Business School. Okay. It originally had 400 users. How many users does Facebook have today? How many users are there for Facebook today? Over a billion. Over a billion. So my question is, do you think it's the same application that they had in 2004 that still is supporting these 1 billion users, or do you think they would have made some changes to the application to support this over a billion users?
They make changes almost every day.
So this application is scalable. It is able to accommodate more user base. Originally, this purpose was to support only 400 users. Now it's over a billion users. Therefore, Facebook is scalable. Is Facebook available 24/7, 365 days, or only 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday to Friday? There are some applications that are available just during the business hours. For example, I know one of the insurance companies, which was acquired by Farmers. That is available only from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. local time, Monday to Friday. If you try to access it after 9 p.m., it will say our system is down. It's not available. Please come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Is it accessible from any part of the world? For example, Google Voice or Netflix. It's a movie website. You cannot access Netflix from other parts of the world, from UK or from some countries in Asia. Is your application reliable or will it crash constantly? Is it safe? Is it secure? Interoperability. What is interoperability? Can somebody please unmute and give me a response?
Able to use applications on different browsers, compatible to different browsers.
Not just different browsers. Is your application able to work in harmony with other competing applications? For example, until recently, Microsoft applications would not work on Apple operating systems because they are competitors. Back in the day, if you had Lotus Notes and Outlook loaded up on your machine, they would not work because they both were competitors. .NET applications and some of the Java applications would not work in harmony. So is your application interoperable? Is it extensible? What do you mean by extensibility? Originally, Facebook had only a few features, like adding people, writing something on their wall. Today, Facebook has tons of other features. Chat functionality, email functionality. Please save your questions for later. Let me finish this and then I'll give an opportunity to ask questions. So today, Facebook has a lot of other features. Chat, writing on the wall, adding pictures, comments, likes, dislikes, timeline, calendar, events, games, videos. So you have so many features. So is your application extensible? Can you add more functions and more features? Originally, Gmail or even Yahoo Mail started out with just the emailing application. Today, they have chatting application built in their email application. It has intelligence built into the application to sort the emails. Is your application maintainable or is it just hard-coded? For example, let's say you have a car. Can you maintain your car? Can you change the oil? Can you change your tires, or are they like absolutely welded into your car? Are they sealed permanently? So is it maintainable? Is it portable? Can you carry it on a small disk or a floppy disk or a drive? Or do you need to have huge trucks to carry your equipment to support this application? Are you able to support it? Can we have a support team to support this application? Is it supportable? Quality. What is quality? Can somebody please unmute and give me a response? What is quality?
Does our product is having enough quality to be used in the market? Does it like enough good to be used in market, or it is like just a product? How good it is, how competitive it is to the other products in the market?
A defect-free product, or a process, or whatever you consider a defect-free one.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other examples?
Standard of a product which is measured against another product of a similar type, and that's what quality is.
All right. Let me give you an example to define quality. So let's say I have a Mercedes-Benz, okay? Let's say there are 300 features given by the management of Mercedes-Benz. And then there's another car called Kia. You must be familiar with Kia car, right? So there are 100 features. So the management of Mercedes-Benz had 300 requirements for a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. So the engineers actually built a Mercedes-Benz, and at the end of the build, they built a car that met 200 of these 300 requirements. While the engineers at Kia plant were able to build all these 100 features for whatever 100 features were given. My question to you is, which of these two products is a qualitative product? Which of these two products is a qualitative product?
Quality what?
Which of these two cars is a qualitative car?
Well, the Kia, I mean, they met 100%. They made 100%, met 100% of the requirements, and so it makes it a complete quality. I guess you call it quality, but it's a complete finish product.
So what is Mercedes-Benz?
Well, they only met 2/3 of the product, or yeah, 2/3 of the requirements. So it's as it relates to. I mean, I wouldn't use the word quality, but that's what's there. As it relates to quality, it's only 66% of what their standard of quality is.
So what is Mercedes-Benz? How would you define Mercedes-Benz in this example? You defined Kia as a qualitative product, but how would you define Mercedes-Benz?
Well, everyone knows the Mercedes-Benz is almost the de facto standard in measuring cars, but in looking at it as you have it written here, the Kia is a more complete product because it's all of its requirements are met.
Well, my question is, I'm not talking about Kia. We know that Kia is a qualitative car here. What about Mercedes-Benz? How would we define it? What can we attribute to Mercedes-Benz? Are you saying that Mercedes-Benz is a low quality car?
No, I said at the beginning.
I'm not talking just to you, Gina. I'm addressing the entire class, okay? So, Rashmika, I see your message. You're saying Mercedes-Benz is an example of low qualitative car, okay? So can we say that a Mercedes-Benz is of low quality? No. A Mercedes-Benz is in the class of cars from this example, Mercedes-Benz is a higher grade product. It's a higher grade product. In other words, it has 100 features more than a Kia car. It has more number of features, 100 features more than a Kia car. Probably it had, a multi-disc, or it has heated seats, or it has these rear collision sensors. So in the class of cars, Mercedes-Benz is a higher grade product, but not necessarily a qualitative product. Kia is a qualitative product, but Mercedes-Benz is not a qualitative product from this example. Because all the requirements have been met in Kia, while only 200 requirements have been met in Mercedes-Benz. Therefore, quality is conformance to all the requirements is defined as quality if you are a business analyst. But if you are a tester, as Pradeep or somebody said, zero defects is quality. See, there is no standard in quality. When you hear somebody say high quality, low quality, medium quality, it's incorrect. It's a statement like this: the current is flowing. Current itself is flow. What do you mean by current is flowing? The flow is flowing. It doesn't make any sense. So when you say high quality, low quality, medium quality, it's incorrect. There are no grades. There are no degrees in quality. There are degrees in grade. Quality itself is defined as 0 defects. Even if you have one defect, it is not a qualitative product. Therefore, when you go to grocery store next time, you may be seeing large grade eggs, high grade milk. That doesn't mean that it is a qualitative product. All they're saying is there's more quantity, but not quality. Okay. Therefore, quality is, please remember this definition. If you are a business analyst, your definition should be conformance to all the requirements. Generally, a tester will normally say 0 defects is quality. Stability. Is your system stable enough or will it crash if there are more number of hits? For example, during Thanksgiving or Cyber Monday or some of these holiday seasons, or whenever there's a new product launch, some of these retail websites would crash. They're not stable. Firefox, some versions of Firefox is not stable. It would crash. Some of the other non-functional requirements of privacy, price, license, dependency, resilience. What do you mean by resilience? Any thoughts, anybody? What is resilience?
Durability.
Has anyone ever seen a stress ball? What happens to a stress ball when you squeeze it? It comes back to its original shape. Ability to get back to its original shape or original form is called as resilience. So when you use your application or system, when you do all the changes, modifications, is your system able to come back to its original state? For example, you can always reset your computer to factory settings. Is that possible? Yes. Can you reset your car to factory settings after you use it for a couple of years? No. Cannot. Recovery. Is it easy to recover if your system fails? Is it robust? What is the response time? Some of the other examples: speed, RAM, time to market, cost, etc. Therefore, non-functional requirements are adverbially related to functional requirements, like how fast, how efficiently, how safely a particular task has to be carried out. They are also called as supplementary requirements. They are simply called as ITIES, ITIES, because it's most probably going to end with an IT: usability, security, scalability, reliability, availability, accessibility, interoperability, maintainability, extensibility, portability, supportability, quality, stability. For every functional requirement, you would have multiple non-functional requirements. And then there is something called as a GUI requirement, graphical user interface requirement, which can involve developing prototypes. What is a prototype? Can somebody define what a prototype is? What is a prototype? It's a skeletal. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say a prototype is an initial model of what they would like to put into production. So if I was going to build a widget, I would create a prototype of that widget and determine whether it is a viable product to put on the market or not.
A prototype is a skeletal version of any application or a model, okay, which will give you some idea about what the end product is going to look like. Mock-ups, basically screenshots, wireframes of a system. So some of the GUI requirements can include text box, radio button, checkbox. What is the difference between a checkbox and a radio button? Radio button and a checkbox.
Checkbox, you can check multiple checkboxes at one time. A radio button, if they're synced together, let's say you have 4 options under the radio button, you can only select one. But if you have 4 checkboxes, you can select all 4 checkboxes. And the other is, one is square and the other is circle. Is a circle. The radio button is a circle, and checkbox is a square.
So, for example, if there was a questionnaire, okay, the languages that I can speak: English, Spanish, French, let's say other. Okay. Then I can select English, Spanish, and then French. But let's say if there was another question, male or female, I can select only one, right? So a lot of people will think checkbox is just a square, but radio button is a circle. That's not the major difference. The difference is checkbox is a multi-select value, while radio button is a single select value. So for example, if you go back to this information here, within this, the functionality is to calculate BMI, but the non-functional requirements are how fast was the system able to calculate BMI. So let's say I'm entering, okay. Now, if I click on compute BMI, see, it was pretty fast. Is this application available 24/7, 365 days? Can anyone access it? Can I use it from any browser? Right now I'm using Google Chrome. Or can I use Firefox or Explorer? What about GUI requirements? So this is a text box. The look and feel, the layout, the color, appearance, background, the display, font, it's black color, Arial font, 8 sides. Those would be your GUI requirements. What about data requirements? Data requirements represent qualitative or quantitative attributes of a variable or set of variables. So for example, login. There are 2 data elements for login functionality, user ID and password. Is your user ID alphabets or will it take special characters? How long is it? Is it mandatory? Is it optional? Is it sensitive? So if you are able to define the qualitative and quantitative attributes of a variable or set of variables within your functionalities, it is called as data requirements. Then there are other types of requirements like customer requirements, architectural requirements. What are customer requirements? Systems in terms of mission, objectives, and whatever your customer asks you to have as part of the application development. Sometimes some of the clients may have specific requirements pertaining to architecture. The framework has to be like this, or it has to follow service-oriented architecture, not client-server model. Okay. Structural requirement, the structure, how it should be. Okay. The design itself, the logical structure. Is it a buy requirement or code requirement or build to requirement? Then there are implied requirements, derived requirements, which are not stated explicitly, but you can derive some of those requirements. Behavioral requirements. What is behavioral requirement? Is it something that is synonymous to something else that we discussed? What is it synonymous to? What are behavioral requirements?
You could equate, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
You could equate it to what you just did with the password. How is something supposed to behave? In other words, what is the behavior of that particular, whatever it is you're working on?
Behavioral requirements are simply called as functional requirements. They are associated with behavior. Some organizations call it as a functional requirement, some may call it as a behavioral requirement. See, that is the difference, between a general person and somebody who has that extra knowledge. If you read extra read material, there is a document pertaining to requirements. They use different terms, different synonyms to define the same concept. Okay. So anyway, these are the various types of requirements. Are there any questions that I can answer for you at this time pertaining to this? Please be very clear about each of your requirement types, because if you are not clear with that, you will have a tough time understanding other topics or future topics. Okay. All right. So if you are clear with the requirements, let's go ahead and draft a requirements artifact. So once you are on the portal, click on materials for students, and then within that click on templates. fourth link here after this instruction. Once you click on templates, please go to requirements phase templates. And then there is a document called Software Requirements Specification Template, SRS. Please download that. And what I want you to do is I would like for you to be able to draft an SRS for your case study. Let's say I'm trying to draft an SRS for let me pick a case study that people have not picked. Okay, so I think nobody picked mail application. Okay. So let me go ahead and draft an SRS. Okay, this is your assignment to draft an SRS. So what is the name of this project? Let's say my case study is Naveen Mail. So let's say if Deep was doing this SRS, Deep would write Deep Bank. Let's say if Divya was doing this case study or this SRS, then she should write it as Divya Travels. Let's say if Shruti was doing this, and it should be Shruti YouTube. So my point is, each one of you should draft an SRS for your case study. Okay, don't draft it for others' case studies. So let me go ahead and write it for naveenmail.com. So we have version 1.0, and then whatever your draft date is, let's say 22nd July 2013. Scroll down, revision history, version 1.0. This is the initial version. Initial draft of requirements for naveenmail.com. Okay. So please add as many names as possible in your approvers list. So once you draft your requirements artifact, you will have to facilitate a review of your artifact and get approvals. So where will you get this approvers list from? Who will you give you this approvers list? Generally, there is a document called as RACI chart, R-A-C-I, okay, R-A-C-I, which stands for Responsible, Accountable, Consult, Inform. And a project manager is responsible for creating a RACI chart, within which they will identify various resources, various people for various tasks. Okay, so that is your approvers list. Scroll down, update the header also. So let's say organization name is ABC, and then the project name is naveenmail.com, and then the version number here is 1.0, and then the revision date 22nd July 2013. Okay, First of all, this is a template. What do you mean by a template? Can somebody please unmute and give me a response? What is a template? How do you define a template? What is the difference between a template and a document? Template is a skeletal version of a document. It would contain outlines. It contain section headers, some description about what a section should be, and then we can fill the information in a template. So generally organizations would have these various templates. Different methodologies have these different templates identified, and we can just access these templates and complete the work. All right, let's go ahead and fill this information. So what is the purpose? Specify the purpose of this SRS and its intended audience. The purpose of this SRS is to capture and document requirements for naveenmail.com, and the intended audience are architects, development team, testers, deployment team, and business users. So this document is being captured or is being created to capture various types of requirements so that all these people can understand these requirements. So what is the business context? Generally, you can get a business context related information from BRD or a vision document or a PRD. That's a direct copy paste. So here in this case, let's say, naveenmail.com. Just give some information about this company, okay? Or I would say ABC Inc. is an emerging technology company and pioneers in social communication. Okay, and then you can come up with a vision statement or a mission statement. What is a mission statement? What is the difference between a vision statement and a mission statement? Can somebody give me a quick response here? What is vision and what is mission? Are they one and the same or are they different?
Vision is what you want to accomplish, and mission is what you are supposed, you have to do it.
Can you give an example to illustrate that?
My vision for this year will be, maybe it might be to buy Mercedes-Benz, and my mission will be I need to become a business analyst by this year end.
To me, both are sounding like the same. By this year end, you want to do two things. So why is one?
Even if I don't, maybe if I don't achieve it, maybe it might not be impacted.
So are you saying it's okay to not to become a BA?
No, mission is something that you have to accomplish.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
As Lakshmi said, buying a Mercedes is my vision for the year 2013, but my mission would be getting a job as a DA to accomplish that vision that I'm looking forward for by the end of year 2013 to achieve. If I complete my mission, it's like a milestone to get to where you want your vision to be, accomplish the end product.
Excellent. Vision is where we want to be in the future. But mission is the steps that you are taking to reach where you want to be in the future. So that was a very good example. You want to buy a Mercedes-Benz. But what are various steps? Number one, your mission is to get a job so that you can get good money. And then number two, you would like to research. So those could be your mission statements. Vision is where do we want to be in future. Mission is what is it that we would do to reach that point of our goal. So let's say mission statement. You can come up with a mission statement. Come up with a nice one. So I'm just coming up with something like this right now. Okay, that is your mission statement. What about scope? See, scope is it's a direct copy and paste. You go to your case study, each of you would have captured this information. So let's say I'm going to mail functionality. So this is my scope item. These 5 line items are my scope items. New user account creation, login functionality, sort flags and receive email, chat functionality, default folders, and custom folder functionality. Okay. So what about my users? Identify the different types of people that would use your application. For example, unregistered users. So what is their job? These users shall have, so you're trying to define the access levels for different types of users, shall have access to the application and can view the home page. So for example, let's say I'm an unregistered user. So I can just go to yahoomail.com. I don't need to have an ID. I can just go to this and see this. But then let's say there are registered users. These users shall have unique login credentials and can access their inbox and other features of the application provided to the end users. And then there are different types of users, for example, administrators. These users will have the ability to modify an account in the database. For example, there are administrators with Gmail or Yahoo Mail. Let's say if they want to delete an account or if they want to add something, then they can do that. So let's say if you are doing some other case, let me give you some examples here. Okay, bank. Let's say for a bank. So there are various types of users for a bank. So bank teller. These users can access the customer's information and can make deposits and withdrawals. Let's say bank manager. These users can alter bank account details of individual customers. So everybody will have a varied level of access. You know, they will have different levels of access. So define all of your users. For example, let's say if it's a hospital management system, physicians. These users, I'm just writing all of these as examples. Okay, it's not that everybody will have physicians or bank manager, bank teller. For example, in Facebook you would not have physician user, or in travel you will not have these bank tellers. Please don't get confused. I'm just writing this to help you out. Okay, these users shall have access to patient information along with diagnosis information. But they will not have access to the payment functionality of or the payment module of the application, because the doctors don't take payments. It's the billing analysts who take the payments. Okay. So identify various types of users for your application. And then let's go to major system capabilities. What are your system capabilities? So again, pretty much the same thing. These are your system capabilities. So if you are a good business analyst, or if you want to be a good business analyst, one of the other things that you should do is you should be good with copy paste. Okay. So these are your system capabilities. These are your system capabilities. What about major system constraints? See, there are certain constraints. What are constraints? Constraints are limitations. Okay. Something that will restrict you from accomplishing a particular functionality. For example, NaveenMail.com cannot receive emails from accounts that end with .to domain. I'm just giving an example. See, there are certain domains like .to or .in, .co. But let's say just this is a constraint. Okay. Or NaveenMail.com cannot send emails to more than 100 recipients at a time. Now that's a system constraint. Based on the technology, based on the bandwidth, it is not possible. Okay. Or you can have another email, another constraint. You know, when you transfer money, sometimes money transfer balances are not reflected immediately in the account after money transfer. Let's say if yours was a banking application, okay, or tickets, airline tickets cannot be held for more than 10 minutes. See, for example, if you're trying to search for a travel ticket, okay, so let's go to travel.yahoo.com. Let's say San Francisco International Airport. Let's say LAX, Los Angeles International Airport to JFK. Okay, so 13 to whatever it is. Searching for flights. Now, after it displays the information, those prices are good only for 10 minutes. If you don't purchase within the first 10 minutes of displaying the results, for example, now I see this information 420. Okay, so if I don't select a particular flight here in the next 10 minutes, if I click on select after 10 minutes, it will display a message saying, hey, look, the prices have changed. So we need to research again, because this particular Sun Country Airlines allows the Yahoo to hold the tickets for only 10 minutes for this price, because there will be somebody else who is trying to also purchase these tickets. So now that is a limitation. That is something that your system cannot do much about. Okay. So identify any system constraints pertaining to your document. Or for example, if it's a document management system, one of the system constraints for document management system could be it cannot take files that are in RTF format. Okay, so every system will have specific constraints. You need to identify what those constraints are, and then scroll down, go to assumptions. What are assumptions? Naveenmail.com shall have unrestricted access to central database. For example, in an organization, they would have a central database with all the customer information or user information where you would have all the user IDs and passwords. So naveenmail.com is an application that has to have an interface with this database so that the information is authenticated and validated before a user can access their account. Okay, or let's go to bidding, Neha bidding. Okay, let's say nehabidding.com shall have access to payment servers. So once you bid for the product, if you want to make a payment, now you should have access to. So you want to specify, let's say Visa, Amex, Discover, and MasterCard. Okay, or let's say if it is Facebook. Okay, or if it is a car's website, you can make a payment via PayPal. So you are assuming that you have access to PayPal. Or if it's a Facebook, you are assuming that you have access to some other gaming websites, because what it does is it will bring in a plugin of those games and embed it on the user's account so that they can play a game. Okay, or budget management, again having an interface with various banking systems. That's an assumption. So come up with all the assumptions. Don't leave any blank spaces. Fill this up. Dependencies, again pretty much they are same like your assumptions. Are there any dependencies for your system? In other words, is your system dependent on a particular component or a module for it to function? For example, naveenmail.com is dependent on central database. Why? Because it has to authenticate the users. It has to validate the users. Or here is another application. Hospital management system, let's say Rashmika hospital system, is dependent on insurance servers to process insurance information. So they will have a dependency or they're interfacing with the insurance systems, because whenever a patient gives their insurance information, it has to validate. So they'll enter that information and they have to validate. Or they'll be dependent on pharmaceutical systems. They have to send a prescription electronically. A travel website is dependent on, for example, Divya Travels. Okay, is dependent on partner airline servers for flight information. So I want you to come up with different dependencies or assumptions for your case study. Don't add everything in one document. I hope I'm clear, abundantly clear. I'm just giving these as examples. I'm just adding the Neha, Rashmika, Divya, all these as examples. Okay, but I want you to be able to come up with your own statements for your case study. System modes and states. Generally, there are three different modes. One is online mode. System is up and running and all the functionalities, all the features are accessible. And then there is something called as offline mode. System is down and not accessible. And then there is something called as maintenance mode or partial mode. Okay, where you'd say system is partially available. Okay, with key features. See, for example, there are some websites, some banking applications or some even AT&T or T-Mobile, when you call 611 during holiday hours or during holiday season, they would say right now our call centers are closed, but there are some key functionalities available. For example, like accepting a payment or making sales. But if you need anything to do with support, they'll say call back on Monday during business hours. Okay, so that would be maintenance mode. That means only limited number of features are available. Scroll down, requirements. Now, every capability or every feature for your application, so you would have various features, for example, mail system capability. So there is new user creation, login functionality, sort flags and chat default folder, right? For every capability, there can be multiple requirements. Please remember that. For every capability, there are multiple requirements. So let's say I'm trying to write for login functionality. The system shall enable users to log in with a valid user ID and password. The system shall enable users to have their password reset by clicking on forgot user ID and or forgot password. The system shall send password reset link to an alternate email provided during sign up. System shall allow, by the way, whenever you write a requirement statement, it is always in future tense. You should always and always and always state the requirement statement in future tense, which is system shall. One of my friends actually almost, I know a candidate, and he lost an interview. He answered everything, and his final question was, what is the tense of the requirement statement? And he never heard that before. He didn't know what it was. He lost an opportunity because of this. The system will, the system should, the system must, the system could, the system would. No, none of that. It is always the system shall. Allow the user to reset the password by providing valid responses to security questions. Okay. Now, let's say, identify all the requirement statement for login function. So let's say now I'm trying to make for money transfer. So money transfer, what are the money transfer statements? The system shall transfer money from one account to another account of the same customer. Now, there is something called as business rules. Every requirement statement, wherever applicable, will have to follow certain business rules. So what are the business rules in this case? So for example, the system, only 2 transfers are allowed per day. The transfer amount shall not exceed more than $1,000 in 24 hours. See, this is my business, so therefore I am setting a constraint like this. Bank of America allows you only 2 transfers in a day and then only $1,000 total. But Chase Bank allows you with 3 transfers and then you can do, I think, 2,000 or something like that. Wells Fargo will have a different set of rules. So those are your business rules. So here is the functionality, but here you are mentioning the business rules. Okay. So identify all the requirements pertaining to money transfer. Okay, so what else happens after you transfer the money? From one account of the same customer, actually we'll make it a complete statement. We'll try to add it here. So by accepting the following information, what will you accept? Account from, account to, amount, date of transfer, right? And then the system shall transfer money from one account to another account and display and generate and display a confirmation number in the following format. So let's say you can have a format, like let's say MT. And then let's say today's date. Okay, money transfer 001 on 22nd July 2013. Okay, so you can mention this format, or you can just say like this: MT, a 3-digit number followed by today's date. So I'm just mentioning it as an example, just so that you know. Also, once the transfer is complete after generation of the confirmation code, what else will happen? Anyone? Right? It should also go back and update the balances in the account summary and display the transaction details, even if it is pending transaction details, along with the status of the transaction as pending. Right? So just because there is only money transfer, I don't want you to assume that it's only one requirement statement. There can be multiple requirement statements. New user sign up, there can be multiple requirement statements. So let's say I want to search for a flight ticket. The system shall enable users to search for a flight ticket by accepting the following input parameters. So what do you need to search for flight ticket? Who is doing flight? Okay, so okay, Divya. So what do you need to search for a flight ticket? Leaving from, arriving to, date of departure, date of return, number of adults, number of children. Is it one way? Is it round trip? Or is it a multi-trip? Right? You have all these features. And then the system shall display the flight search results in the following flight search results along with the following information. So what do you need? What will it show you? See, airline name, departure time, arrival time, total travel time, round trip price. So airline name, departure time, arrival time, travel time, round trip price, and then also there is a date, right? Day and date. Day and date. Now, are there any business rules for this? If yes, please specify what these business rules could be. The system, or it should say, 45 search results should be displayed per page by default. Default sort order is by price, right? It is sorting the results by price. That is the default sort order. Now, you can have more requirements, sort requirement, where you are able to sort the displayed flight results. And what can you sort on? You can sort by price, by duration, by departure time, arrival time, airline, specify all of that. Okay. Let's go ahead and write one more requirement for somebody else. Let's say document management system. Okay. Document creation. Let's say document creation is a functionality. Okay. So user, the system shall enable users to create documents by uploading a document from the local drive and specifying the following values for the properties of a document. So document name, document title, or actually document long name. This should have been first. Document title, document description, and document type, document subtype, document owner, document author, right? What else are there? There are so many other properties.
Document number.
Keywords. Well, document number, I would like for it to be auto-generated. I want it to be a separate requirement. I want your system to be able to generate a document number automatically. You can specify a format. Okay. Keywords, document category. Okay. So there can be a difference between type and category. You can define what each of those are in your data elements. I'm going to be showing that in tomorrow's class. We will do a data dictionary within which we will define all these data elements. Okay. So you can specify all these statements put into document creation. Or there's another way of creating a document. I'll just give you this quickly. The system shall enable users to create a document from a blank template that is built in the system. See, some of the document management applications, like for example, Documenta, has this ability to create a document after specifying the properties from within the template. If you want to choose a Word document, or if you want to create an Excel document, it will create one by itself. Okay. Or if you want to initiate a document on workflow, so what should you do? What are the requirements? How can you initiate it on a workflow? So for every application, insurance application, banking application, hospital management application, cards website, you have the scope. I have given you the scope. I want you to be able to come up with the requirements statements for your scope items. Again, I am mentioning it again. Just because you have 5 line items doesn't mean there are only 5 requirements. Every line item can have multiple requirement statements, multiple functional requirements. Okay, and then there is non-functional requirements. For example, for login, what are your non-functional requirements? The system shall authenticate the user credentials in less than 5 seconds. Okay, you can specify it by a component, or you can just keep it generic. Okay, the system shall enable users to access login module unlimited number of times. Or navinmail.com shall be available 24/7, 365 days. Okay, or navinmail.com shall be accessible. Remember, availability, accessibility, reliability, security, scalability, those are non-functional requirements. Shall be accessible from IE, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, and Netscape. navinmail.com again, you can mention this, accessible from mobile devices, tablets, and personal computers. navinmail.com shall be supported on iOS, Windows, operating systems, right? So you can always come up with several non-functional requirement statements, at least 10, minimum 10. Okay, you can come up with at least, I can come up with 20 to 30 easily for navinmail.com. So I want you to write requirement statement, non-functional requirement statement for your case study. Okay, and then scroll down. Data requirements. We will do a data dictionary in tomorrow's class, so don't do anything. And then GUI requirements. I'm going to be using a tool in tomorrow's class to show you GUI requirements, so don't worry about it yet. Policy and regulation. We will also discuss this tomorrow, and then we'll do the system interface and rest of it tomorrow. Okay, I'll show you how to complete this along with data dictionary and UI screens. And each one of you is required to complete an SRS for your case study along with data dictionaries and UI. And those will be due on next Monday. I'm giving you ample time, 7/29. As I said, the downside to doing this assignment, you don't have business users to give you the requirements. Normally, if I was working at a client location trying to do this SRS, let's say, I'd be interacting with my business users and trying to get this information. They'd be giving me this information and I'd be capturing it so that I can come back and draft it. But here we don't have any business users, but the good thing is you're going to be doing these requirements for an application that is already in use today. Okay. Are there any questions at this time?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
This is the system requirement specification document, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I went through and looked at how you went through, how you kind of gave us a overview of how to find that document. I can't find it.
So please go to materials for students on the portal. And then click on templates.
Oh, wait a minute. Time out. I'm sorry. Templates, yeah.
And then click on requirements phase templates.
All right. Now, when I click on templates, it brings up Google account, select an account to use, which I just continue with the one that I have.
Yes, use your Gmail account that trainers would have
Yeah.
provisioned you with.
And then I've got the same. All right, I have the same thing you have up there.
Click on
Under
requirements templates.
page. Okay.
And then the third document from bottom.
Software requirement specifications template.
Yes.
Okay. And this is what you're going to put the assignment in exactly what it is that you want us to complete in that. I mean, I'm assuming you don't want us to complete the entire document by next Monday, correct? Because there's a lot of this we haven't gone over.
Yes, I'm expecting you to complete the entire document by next Monday. The remainder of the information in this document, we'll discuss it tomorrow because we're already past our class time today. So we will discuss the remaining part of this document in tomorrow's class. And you can continue to work on this document and then have it already by Monday. I'll give you further instructions in tomorrow's class also about how you should come up with information and what is it that we're going to be doing on Monday with your work. After you are done with your SRS, data dictionary, and GUI requirements, you'll also be presenting your work in the class. Okay, I'll discuss all of that in tomorrow's class. All right, any other questions from so far, whatever we've discussed? Okay, if you don't have any questions, thank you for your participation tonight. Please have a good night. We will reconvene back again tomorrow at 6 Pacific, 8 Central, 9 Eastern Standard Time. Good night. Okay, Pradeep, do you want to go ahead and ask a question?
My question was in regards to that conflict resolution. You know, not only, I mean, the conflict resolution between, the differences in the requirements we were talking about. In general, let's say there's a conflict resolution, a conflict between the requirements and the testing and the development. How do we, answer such kind of a question?
So I didn't understand your question. You have to elaborate your question.
Let's say in an agile environment, or let's say there's a conflict between the conflict resolution between the testers and the business analysts.
So there can be a variety of conflicts. There are people-related conflicts, there are schedule conflicts, budget conflicts, technology conflicts. There are so many different types of conflicts. But we as business analysts would be responsible for requirements-related conflicts. And that was the question that we were trying to address.
Okay. All right. Because I see that a lot of times the question is asked like coworker conflicts or
So those are different types of conflicts, and project managers or somebody else will address those things.
Okay. All right. So the scope creep doesn't get into.
Scope creep is only for requirements resolution.
Okay. All right. That answered my question. So.
Okay.
Thank
Anything
you.
else? Thank you. All right, Payal. If you're around, can you please unmute?
Yes, hi.
Yeah. So did you get a chance to complete all the videos, whatever we discussed so far, all the classes?
No, I just enrolled a few hours ago, so I haven't really gotten the chance to look at the videos.
Okay. So please do take a look at those videos because we did cover a lot of information, and if you cover all of that, then it will be easy for you to follow along because most of this material that we're talking is built on top of those materials. For example, today we talk about scope creep, or when we talk about requirements from different phases. So if you are familiar with those concepts, then it will be easy for you to understand that. Okay. And as far as case studies, each one of the candidates have been allocated with case study. I have allocated a system. Is there a choice that you would like to work on?
Again, I haven't really gotten the chance to look at anything.
Okay. Is there a system that you think you want to work on?
Right now, I think, I'm just clueless. Maybe you can choose it for me.
Okay. So give me time till tomorrow. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to come up with different systems, and we do have about 12 or 13 case studies, and people already chose all of those case studies. So I'll come up with a new one for you and give you the scope for that case study. Okay.
Okay. And one more question. Since I have a lot of material to cover, and if I have any questions, I don't really want to waste the class time. Do you think you would be able to answer my questions? Should I email you? What's a good way to reach you?
So if you have any questions, if you're watching my screen right now, there is a blog, right? You can post your questions on this blog, and I'll be able to answer your question, or somebody will be able to answer your question. But when you listen to the videos, I think most of your questions will be answered automatically.
Okay.
Because we covered all the questions and all the topics. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm good as of now.
All right. Thank you very much, Payal. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.